Okay, this should make up for the content deficit from last week. Got my Star Treks in, now let's do the Marvels. No, not those the Marvels. Still got a ways to go there. I'm Gayfesh, and today we'll be talking 2 episodes of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. First, we'll cover Season 1, Episode 6, Just Jen. But before we get started, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Spoilers ahead. Jen gets an invite to be a bridesmaid, and in typical sitcom fashion, that means the wedding is this week. Just like if someone is accused of a crime, they immediately go to trial the next episode. Prep time? What's that? Oh, Jen already has a pink dress made by her tailor to match the other bridesmaids? Did the script supervisor tell him the wedding was coming next episode? It's actually not good writing to have the fourth wall breaking character go, oh wow, a self-contained episode right in the middle of the story sure seems inconvenient if that's just what you're doing anyway. It's like the joke's on them, I was only pretending meme. Come on. The wedding is a bit of a disaster as half the wedding staff quits, so everyone is foisting duties onto Jen. The bride doesn't want to be upstaged, so she asks her to stay de-hulked for the wedding, the one time she was looking forward to showing off. There isn't even an open bar. To make matters worse, Titania started dating one of the guests just to be made the +1, and takes advantage of Jen's inebriated de-hulked state to start a fight with her. Once Jen hulks out and thus instantly sobers up, Titania gets her ass kicked so hard she loses the veneers off her front teeth, and the bride is so drunk she's happy to see She-Hulk at her wedding. Back at the firm, Nikki works with Mallory on a divorce case featuring Mr. Immortal, a guy with the superpower to instantly come back to life whenever he dies. He's been using this power to fake his death to get out of multiple marriages, but his ex-spouses have caught on to his deception. Nikki is able to negotiate a settlement that all the ex-spouses are happy with, while they have to basically restrain Mr. Immortal to keep him jumping out the window to avoid the situation. Honestly, I would much rather have seen Jen work on this case. She's supposed to be the show's main lawyer, but for the past several episodes, it has been everyone else in the firm actually doing the lawyering. Nikki and Mallory check out the website Intelligentsia because it's where footage of Mr. Immortal using his patented walk-into-traffic technique was first found. Turns out to be some kind of manosphere website that has a whole anti-She-Hulk section replete with angry memes and death threats. I want the show to actually handle that section of the internet well, but I know deep in my heart that it's going to be a gutted surface-level critique. And how do I know that? Because it looks like Intelligentsia is a front for an evil organization that is trying to get Jen's blood, and the cute guy Josh that Jen's been flirting with at the wedding appears to either be a willing or unwilling participant in this plot. But enough about that, let's move on to Episode 7, The Retreat. After the wedding, it looks like things are hitting off with Josh, and we get a montage of them going on several dates before he finally spends the night with her. Unfortunately, he ghosts her afterward, and she spends several days obsessively checking her phone in the hopes he actually will respond. She's finally interrupted from her stun lock by Blonsky's parole officer letting her know that something tripped on his inhibitor cuff, and he has to make a trip out there to make sure Blonsky isn't turning into Abomination. He asks her to come along because she can Hulk out if needed, plus, it's probably a good idea for his lawyer to be there if he's violated the terms of his parole. Turns out it was no big deal, he just caught it on an electric fence when going after one of his chickens at his retreat. Everything is reset and good to go, and the parole officer gets out of there as fast as he can. Jen's just about to head out herself when a man-bull crashes right into her car while doing battle with El Aguila, a guy who insists he is not a matador. Turns out there's a whole group of superpowered weirdos who have come to the retreat to help resolve their issues. And now Jen is stuck with them because the tow company won't get there until later in the day. There's no Wi-Fi at the resort, and the only crappy cell signal she can get is in the building where they're all currently having group therapy. Oh yeah, turns out one of the guys at the retreat was part of the wrecking crew that assaulted her a few episodes ago, and she throws him across the room into the folding chairs. Everyone there tries to get her to calm down, but I'm just like, nah, kick this dude's ass. But once she does agree to hear him out, he sounds very remorseful for that crime he did just a few episodes ago, and she seems tentatively willing to hear him out. Eventually, they tease out of her that she's been obsessing over a guy who ghosted her, and she opens up about how She-Hulk feels like your cooler friend in high school that everyone liked, and now she can become that cooler friend at any time, but finds that a lot of guys who liked her as She-Hulk don't care about her as Jen. Josh seems to like her just as Jen, but ghosted her anyway. The group convinces her that they like her as she is, and she relaxes and de-hulks. Gotta say, because of the one dude who tried to get her blood before, I was actually anxious that they were deliberately luring her into this false sense of security so that they could grab her and get her blood as soon as she does. It was probably the intention of the show to make you worry that too, but if they'd actually done it, well, that would be mean of the episode. They convince her to delete Josh's number from her phone and accept that he's moved on and so should she. After making use of the retreat's amenities, the tow truck arrives and she heads home, the retreat having done some good. Of course, we now have to flash back to the night she slept with Josh because it turns out he indeed is working for Intelligentsia and stole her blood and cloned her phone. So that's it for this week. Still no Daredevil. At this rate, with 2 episodes left in the season, the earliest I expect to see him is at the end of next episode. Let me know your thoughts down below.
You know, Marvel does crappy, unnecessary CGI all the time, but there's one shot in this episode that takes the cake. A CGI chicken that doesn't react at all when Jen walks right by it. You couldn't have gotten a real chicken that would shuffle a little bit? Really?
Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share the video with your friends. Subscribe to my Patreon to get shouted out in future videos. Check out my Bandcamp for banging tunes, including all the tracks you heard in this video. Follow me on Twitter at GayestFesh, and don't forget to check out my podcast, The Rest of Both Worlds, where I go through Star Trek The Next Generation with a friend who's never seen it. Thank you to all my patrons, with a special shout out to Piftle Cakes and Renee Vorbeck. Your support is greatly appreciated. See you all in the next video.